Much better for the Knicks in Boston yesterday, facing the second-ranked team in the East, as it was never competitive, losing 118-105. Jason Tatum, 1 assist shy of a triple-double. That was the Celtics' 5th straight win, and they improved to 3-0 against the Knicks this season. The Knicks are 0-7 against the Celtics, Cavs, and Thunder this season, compared to 37-30, don't rush me, against the rest of the league. And it hasn't been close, with those 7 losses coming by an average of 20 points per game. Stephen A., are the Knicks contenders or pretenders?
Well, first of all, I wasn't rushing you. Don't lie to the American public. I wasn't rushing you. I was hoping we could go to commercial break so I didn't have to tackle the subject. That's what I was hoping for.
Well, I heard
I was hoping we could go to commercial. That's what I was hoping for. Hell no. Listen, the Knicks, they're pretenders. And what I mean by that is that I think they're the 3rd best team in the Eastern Conference. They are a precipitous drop-off from the top 2 teams. Shannon was right. I was wrong. I'd give the Lakers a better chance coming out of the West than I'd give the Knicks of coming out of the East. Because the Celtics and the Cavaliers are so dominant compared to the Knicks that I don't see the Knicks having a chance against either one of them. I think either of them would take the Knicks out in 5 or 6 games. Now, obviously, I reserve the right to change my mind when Mitchell Robinson comes back and he elevates their defensive prowess. But right now, the New York Knicks are horrid defensively. I can't believe how bad a Tom Thibodeau team is defensively. I've never seen anything like this, Tim. I've never seen anything like this, Shannon. That's not from a Tom Thibodeau team. They're obviously elite offensively with Cat and Jalen Brunson, and obviously Anunoby and Bridges and Hart can do some things to help. But in the end, they're just undermanned against Boston and Cleveland. They both have a better. They both arguably have a better starting 5. They clearly have a better bench. The New York Knicks are one of the worst teams in terms of efficiency from their bench. They're the worst defensive 3-point shooting team in the NBA. Cleveland and Boston both shoot threes, so your Achilles heel is their strength, for crying out loud. They've got size, they've got athleticism, they've got speed, they've got youth, they have depth, they have shooting. They've got athletes. It's like, damn. I'm sad because the New York Knicks lost in Game 7 to the Indiana Pacers last year, as y'all both well know. And I believe the only reason the Knicks weren't in the conference finals last year is because of the injuries. Even Hart went down, Brunson went down, OG went down, etc. Mitchell Robinson obviously went down. That's why they lost to Indiana. This year, you're not getting out of the semifinals because you're going to run into Cleveland or Boston. And you're not beating them, and it's not going to get to a 7th game. So I'm sad about it, but that's my reality, guys.
And the problem that exacerbates this situation, Tibbs are going to grind them down to the nubs. By the time they reach the playoffs, they all got 40-plus minutes a night on those legs, and so now the injuries are going to flare up because now he's going to ask them to play, instead of playing 39, 40 minutes, he's going to ask them to play 44 to 46 minutes a night. There's a substantial drop-off, Stephen A. You're absolutely right. From the Cavaliers and the Celtics until the Knicks. Yes, they're the 3rd best team, but they're so far away. It's like the distance between L.A. and San Francisco. They're in the same state, but they're not close. They're in the same conference. 1, 2, and then there's 3. But 3, compared to where 1 and 2 are located, is not even close. And yes, Cat's going to get his numbers on a nightly basis. So is Brunson. But guess what? Everybody else from the other team going to get their numbers plus. That's the problem that you run into. Now, let's look. And like you said, you're surprised that this is how Tibbs' team, but I'm surprised also. What I'm not surprised of is him grinding them down so early in the season. Legs, what happened to minutes distribution? Okay, guys, we're going to play y'all 35, 36. How the hell you play these guys 40-plus minutes a night for 80-plus games, and then expect them to have some nice, decent legs come playoff times? I don't think it all depends on who the Knicks get. Now, obviously, they're going to miss Cleveland and Boston in the first round. But if they get one of those teams, they gone. They done. It ain't them. Don't you get your hopes up, Stephen A. Don't say, well, I'm going to go to this game. It doesn't even matter. You don't need to go to see this embarrassment.
Well, listen, I walked into that arena yesterday. And it's my first look calling a game of the Knicks. It's my first time to see them in person this year. I've seen the Celtics a few times. And I know the numbers, and I know what happened on Friday night. And I watched that game against Cleveland. I don't think I've seen an NBA game where a team came out and had 4 dunks on their first 4 possessions. The way Cleveland did in that game. It set the tone right from the bat. So I'm saying to myself, here we go. Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock game, Celtics-Knicks. This is the Knicks' chance to draw a line in the sand today. And you come out of the locker room and watching both teams, Boston was so serious. Like their approach when they ran onto the floor, they ran out like a champion. And they ran out like this is a very meaningful, important game, and we're going to send that message early. And so, you know the line that was drawn by the Knicks? They were down 20 in the first quarter. 20. So right off the bat, I'm saying, okay, the Knicks just do not have the fight necessary to deal with these teams, the 3 teams that they're 0-7 against in particular. Their offense is good enough. They're 6th ranked, I think, offensive team in the league, the Knicks. They're going to win plenty of games because their offense is that good. When you play those 3 teams in particular, though, they're just as good or better offensively, and they're significantly better defensively. That's why you get these crazy scoring margins. That's why you get the discrepancy. And it was glaring to me, the difference between the 2 teams. You started out, the very first thing you said was perfectly put. Define contender. If you don't realistically think that's conference finals or beyond, that's not a contender, and clearly they're not on that level. Cleveland, especially adding DeAndre Hunter, Mobley's emergence, Ty Jerome is a legitimate, significant role piece they picked up. Cavaliers and Boston's on a different level than the Knicks.
Here's what we have to say about the Knicks. We have to say it. I'm going to be the first to say it. This team has more talent than it had last year because of Karl Anthony Towns being in the lineup with Jalen Brunson. But they're not better. And the reason why they're not better is because they don't have the grit that last year's team had. We saw a little bit of it yesterday. I was very proud that they came back and pulled to within 7, and Cat had about 14 points in the third quarter. I get that because up until then he had like 12, 13, 9, and 12 against Boston and Cleveland in the 4 games that they had played with. I was like, come on now, you need better than that. But in the end, I like seeing him, but the problem is they don't have the same grit. So they're better offensively, but dare I say a bit softer, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And then when you look at the fact that they got Mikal Bridges, who doesn't like Mikal Bridges? The brother can play. He's an Iron Man. He's reliable. He's going to come there every game of the year, going to give you 38 to 40 minutes a night, leading the league in minutes played, etc. But you gave up 5 picks for him. And if you had 2 of them.
Too much.
If you had 2 of them, you could have. I mean, think about 5 first-round picks, 4 unprotected, 1 first-round pick swap.
No way.
Obviously, I mean, you did all of that for him, so you couldn't go get a Kevin Durant. Because remember, if you had a couple of picks and a couple of those players for Kevin Durant, Phoenix might have gave you that. And then it's possible we could have had KD and Cat in New York City with Brunson. Lord have mercy. But it didn't happen because you didn't have the assets. So the Knicks
gave up that. That's what you give up for Luka.
Yes.
Even that, you give up that for Luka. You don't give up that for Mikal Bridges, and that's not a knock on him. But you look at what they gave up to get Luka. You give up 4 unprotected and some pick swaps.
Yes.
No, hell no.
Leon Rose has done a good job. That one deal right there is going to come back to haunt him. And it's no shade thrown at Bridges.
No.
It's just that you gave up so much that what you need in order to compete with a Cleveland or a Boston